I am telling you that I'm in control of this relationship. It's about what I get from this relationship, not what I'm giving into this relationship. And that's what God wants to know. That's the first question we need to ask ourselves before Yom Kippur. Nasata v'nasata be'emunah. Are you a giver or are you a taker? Question number 2. God turns to you and says, Kavati itim l'Torah. Now comes the frum question. Did you set aside time for the study of Torah? Did you learn Daf Yomi? Did you learn Nach Yomi? Did every single day revolve around learning Torah? Did you learn Torah all the time? Did you have set classes that you went to? You just showed up. Every once in a while you'd show up to a class. Right? It was on a Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and that in your mind became the class that you went to. You were always going to class on Tuesday night, even though the last time you were there was, a yovel and a half ago. But it doesn't matter. In your mind, this is what I do. So they ask you, Kavato itim l'Torah, did you set times? Were you manic about it? Were you set about it? Were you clear about it? That you set times to learn Torah? But I think that what they're really asking us is that did you make sure to always be aware of your spiritual health and to leave yourself time to connect to your neshama and to focus on spirituality? We are so busy. We could go through day after day after day, even if we daven, even if we put on tefillin, even if we do certain things, we could go day after day after day without stopping to think about our spiritual health, about our spiritual growth, about where are we going.
She sent you a honey cake.
The question isn't lamadato, did you learn Torah? The question is not asita, did you do Torah? The question is not shamarta, did you guard the Torah? The question is kavata. Did you make the Torah a fixed part of your life? Did you make spirituality and growth the center of your life? What God is asking us is, was Torah the main reason why you woke up in the morning? Was spirituality your whole raison d'etre?
She sent you honey cake.
It was the reason for your...
She sent you honey cake.
And did you do it permanently? Or did you do it? Did you blow hot and cold? Did you get into it sometimes and let it fall at others? Kavata itim l'Torah. Did you make it the center of your life?
Sorry, I'm not going to mute.
Asakta b'pirya v'rivya. God asks you, were you involved in procreation? That's a nasty question. What do you ask a person? That's a little bit too personal. Were you involved in procreate? Don't say your business, God. Well, what kind of question is that? The question is not, did you have children? Because some people are not blessed. Some people are not blessed with relationships. Some people are not blessed with the blessing of children. It is a gift from God. And unfortunately, there are people in the world who never received that gift. God would never ask an embarrassing question like that on the day that you come to heaven. But what God was asking us is that, did you understand what pru or vu means? Pru or vu, be fruitful and multiply, doesn't mean dropping children into this world. It means the mitzvah of chinuch, the mitzvah of education. Did you take your role as a teacher in humanity, did you take that seriously? Did you recognize that every person looks up to you as a teacher? If you can read Aleph Beis and somebody else can only read an Aleph, you're their teacher. If you've already climbed through, if you've already gotten to a place where you're able to learn, you're able to keep Shabbos, and there's somebody around you that doesn't, you are their Rebbe. You are their teacher. And what God is asking us is, Asakta b'pirya v'rivya, did you take that seriously? Did you understand your role as a mashpia, as somebody who influences other people? Did you support your local schools? Were you involved in making sure that there was education in your town, even if you don't have children, even if you're not a direct beneficiary? Were you careful to create a home that would be a source of inspiration for your children and for other people? Did you take your role as an educator? Did you take that seriously? Question number 4. They'll ask you, Tzipita liyeshua? Did you wait for the redemption? Did you yearn for the redemption? On the simplest level, what they're asking you is that did you believe in Mashiach? It's not a question that's going to come back with a great answer if we ask ourselves that question. Do we really believe in Mashiach? Do we really believe that Mashiach is coming tomorrow? Reb Nosson Wachtfogel, who was the mashgiach in Lakewood Yeshiva, had a bag that he kept packed for Mashiach. As he got older, he wasn't hearing well, and somebody once said, did you see the mashgiach? The mashgiach is the dean of men. But he didn't hear it clear enough. And he thought they said, did you see the Mashiach? And Reb Nosson went crazy, went to grab his bag. That's a yid that waits for Mashiach. You know, a lot of times on some of these Jewish news things, they talk about tragedies and they tell you the stories, the news. This person died, it was terrible. And you see in the comments, and I really can't tell you why I read the comments, but you look at the comments and you see the comments say, "Oi, we need Mashiach." You've turned Mashiach into Superman. You've turned him into some superhero that's going to come and make the world better. What does it mean to pine away from Mashiach? Tzipita liyeshua, it says. Did you wait for a salvation? What are we being saved from? Evil. Did you despise evil? Did you hate evil? Did you reject things that are evil? We're told in the pasuk, "Yitamu chatoim min haaretz," that sins in messianic times are going to be taken out of the world. Not sinners, but sins. Did you commit yourself to that? Did you help try to fix the world from its predilection to evil? And if you couldn't, did you at least hope and pray that evil would be removed from the world? We'll push it further. Did you see the world as stuck and give up hope? Did you become cynical, believing that it can never change? Or do we believe in the goodness of people and that Yeshua can come and that change is possible and that people can change and people can grow? And there can be a better day. And therefore, I need to continue to push and continue to help the world advance and get better and grow. See, Peter Yeshua is not a question, did you sing, we want Mashiach now? That's not the question. See, Peter Yeshua is where you committed to bring goodness and to bring truth into this world. Question number 5. Pil palta b'chachma. Did you delve into wisdom? What does that question mean? What are they asking you? One Pesach, one of my grandsons sang a song at the Seder. Paroi b'pijamas b'yemtza halaylo, paroi b'pijamas b'yemtza halaylo. I went nuts over that song. I loved it. Paroi b'pijamas, Paro sitting in his pajamas in the middle of the night. My grandson is now 12. He's gotten over Paroi b'pijamas b'yemtza halaylo. Thank God. Because if his image of Paro, and his image of Egypt, and his image of the exodus of Egypt would have stayed the same, then he'd be sunk. No growth. You know, you take a baby, and the baby eats. And then after the baby eats, you pat the baby on the back. And then the baby gives a greps, gives a burp that could knock down the Empire State Building. And everybody says, oh, the baby burped. 15-year-old kid sits at the table, finishes eating, and he gives a burp that's like a dissertation. It's this long thing. You look at me and say, you behemoth, you slob, what's the matter with you? Because what you can get away with as a child is not the same thing that you can get away with as an adult. What God is asking you is, pilpalta b'chachma. Did your perception of the world change, or are you still stuck in second grade? Do you still think that apples and honey is the center of Rosh Hashanah, and that you have to turn the world upside down to make sure that you have apples and honey? Just a little insider information. Shofar is the essence of Rosh Hashanah. Now, if you need to dip your shofar in honey, that's your problem, but it's not apples and honey. Shofar is the essence. But did you change your perceptions? Did you deepen your understandings? Were you a truth seeker? Did you develop your mind? Pil palto b'chachma, it says. Palpal is pepper. Did you sharpen that mind? You know, I remember as a child watching, and I've mentioned this many, many times in classes, that I used to watch. I remember my mother sent me out Erev Pesach. She figured the safest place for me was for 3.5 hours to be sitting in front of a movie screen. I couldn't break anything in the house. I couldn't get in the way. They could prepare for Pesach, and it would be a wonderful yontif. And I remember being sent to watch Cecil B. DeMille's 10 Commandments. I am 50 years later extricating garbage from my head that was implanted on that Erev Pesach afternoon. The nonsense, the silliness, the stuff that I was being taught through that movie. Pilpalta b'chachma is, did you take the opportunity to deepen your understandings? Or are you still stuck with a first grade perception of the Torah and of Judaism? And then question number 6. Hevanta davar mitoch davar. Did you intuit one thing from another? The word havana, the word to understand, binyan, to build. Did you build things? Were you able to see beyond the surface? Were you able to see the depths of things? Or did you get stuck in superficialities? you get stuck just on the surface. But really, all 6 of these questions, it's really one question. When they ask us if we're givers or takers, when they ask us, was Torah the center of our lives? They ask us, did we engage in education? Did we take that role seriously? Did you live a life that wanted to try to eradicate and to outshine evil? Did you engage in deepening your understanding, and did you live beyond the surface? Really what they're asking is, did you live with God? If our relationship with our material world has no connection to God, then it's just material and empty. If my Torah is about intellectual pursuits but is not connected to God, then it's impaired. If my house has no God, then it's just fire. If my kids have no God, then I failed. If there is no God, then what kind of good am I committed to? If there is no God, then what is wisdom? If there is no God, then what is depth? What's behind the surface? And really what we're being asked, as David HaMelech committed himself to when he lifted up his shield, to David HaMelech, that shield of 2 stars, that shield of 2 triangles, that shield of 2 points that cover the entire world, that cover our past, and that cover our present and bring us into the future. That shield says, God is with me. Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov are on my side. Moshe, Aaron, Yosef, they're on my side. God is on my side. And that's the question that before the final exam, when we get up there after 120, we need to ask ourselves on Erev Yom Kippur. Is God in my life? Is God in my Judaism? Is God in my Torah? Is God in my kindness? Is God in my mind? My relationships? Is God in my life? We can focus on so many things. We can look at ourselves Erev Yom Kippur and we can say, I'm going to improve this next year, I'm going to improve that next year. But to me, the most important thing to begin with is God my foundation? Is God the center of my life? Because if God is the center of my life, then I have everything I need. I have material wealth. I have blessing. I have wisdom. I have future and hope. I have the ability to teach and inspire. And that's ultimately the exam that we have to give ourselves on Erev Yom Kippur. Is God in my life? And if God is in my life, then my Jewish star is flying with pride. If God's in my life, then I will by definition be an inspiration to myself, be an inspiration to my family, be an inspiration to the entire world, and give God an amazing amount of nachas. I think it's an important thing to chew over and to think about and to use it as a basis for our preparation for Yom Kippur, for the day of at-one-ment, the day of where we become one with God. I wish everyone should have an easy fast. But even if you don't have an easy fast, it should be a meaningful Yom Kippur. It should be a Yom Kippur that is a Yom Kippur of growth, a Yom Kippur of reshaping, a Yom Kippur where at least for a moment on Yom Kippur we have the gates open in front of our eyes and we're able to find a place inside of ourselves where we let God in and we begin our growth for the next year. We should know from only happiness and joy. For Rosh Hashanah Yikasevun of Yom Tzom Kippur Yechasemun, and Rosh Hashanah it should be written, and Yom Kippur it should be sealed. Nina Magefa Minach Lasecha. That the Magefa should be taken away from his people, from his world. And that life should give us the ability once again to be able to live free, open, meaningful lives. Thank you very much.
Amen, Rabbi. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Amen,
I
Yashikoach.
was muted. Did I do that? I'll unmute everybody.
Sure.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you, Rabbi.
There you go.
Thank you, Rabbi.
It's not working.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you.
That was great. Very
Okay, everybody can
Thank
unmute
you.
yourselves if you want.
Thank you. It was wonderful.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Plans.
Thank you, Rabbi.
I can't seem to unmute everybody. I did such a good job muting.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you, Rabbi.